Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live with NORML. I'm JM Pedini, the Development Director here at the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It's Friday, November 21st. You know what that means? It's time for us to get into this week's cannabis policy and science news, and for me to do my best to answer your burning questions live. Let's get into it, friends. Hey, thanks for joining us. Take a quick second wherever you're watching to hit that like, follow, or subscribe button. Drop a note in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. Hey, Knuckles in Pennsylvania. You're the first comment. Appreciate it. Let's see who's over here on Instagram. Thanks everyone who just joined us on Instagram. Hey, OGCB. What's up? I think that says Yavashio in Baltimore. Hello to you. Hey, Rastaman in Lehigh Valley. Welcome back. Hey, ADHD grower. Good to see you as always. You have a lot of questions from Norfolk. All right. I can't wait to hear them. Hey, Julia in Grayson County. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, Fried Mouse. Welcome back from Minneapolis. All right. Hope everyone on Instagram likes the new stream style. I'm gonna try to sit still so I can stay in the frame. It's not gonna happen though. Let's get into this week's big story. Now, if you are in Ohio, if you've been paying attention to Ohio, this is definitely one of the biggest cannabis policy stories of the week. I'm dropping that link in the comments right now for everyone on Facebook, and I think you'll have to tell me if it posted or not. I can see that it posted on Facebook, and I can see that it posted on YouTube. I don't know if it's posting to LinkedIn. And hey, everyone who's watching on Instagram, I'm sorry I can't share links for you to click, but you'll find all of these stories on NORML's Instagram, and you could just subscribe to NORML News of the Week and to NORML's Weekend Weed Read, and you'll get all these stories in your inbox tomorrow morning. Just head to norml.org/subscribe. Make sure you check the Weekend Weed Read box, and you'll get these emailed to you. But this week, Ohio's legislature had a conference committee on a bill known as SB 56. And this is a bill that really attacks the voter-approved legalization law in that state. The legislature thinks they know better than what voters approved, and this conference committee bill that they approved would repeal numerous provisions from the current legalization law that provides a multitude of protections for lawful adult use cannabis consumers, like employment protections and other things related to that. Let's see what it says. It also stipulates that consumers cannot legally possess cannabis products that were sourced from out of state. So yes, of course, it's not lawful in America to transport marijuana across state lines, but no state is enacting a law that says, no legal state has at this point in time tried to differentiate between cannabis from its state and cannabis from a neighboring state. If you're in possession in that state, typically, if it's a legal state, it's legal. But Ohio has thoughts on this. Ohio legislators have thoughts on this, and they think somehow consumers are going to be able to prove where their cannabis came from. If you are watching this stream and you are in Ohio, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Hey, Cherie at UMB, good to see you. Hey, Marion in Arizona. James, I love your suggestion. James says, commenting for the algorithm. Don't forget to click like. Thank you, James. Oh, Frogs, appreciate it. Same thing. Frog says, hi all, thanks for supporting marijuana legalization. Click that like button. I think that's a great idea. Hey, Christopher, good to see you. Calvin, I see your comment, and we're going to talk about some of that in a minute. You know, Calvin, since you brought it up, this is in Ohio. This bill, this conference committee version of SB 56. This is a Republican spearheaded bill in that state. Yeah, that's who's behind this in Ohio, and this is who's often behind repeal measures in many states. So this version repeals provisions that currently protect adult use consumers from either workplace or professional disciplinary action, as well as other forms of discrimination based solely on their private lawful cannabis use. It imposes new arbitrary limits on the percentages of THC in both adult and medical cannabis products. And it caps the total number of retail licenses permitted in the state. It also has other provisions that create a pathway for expungement of past convictions. That part's actually good. And limits the sale of certain so-called hemp-derived products solely to state licensed dispensaries. It also clarifies that adults can legally consume cannabis on their private property. I believe the current word in the law is residence, and so there was uncertainty as to whether or not that meant, oh, your front yard or just inside. So this would clarify that. Regardless of these improvements, I want to let you know how many emails exactly. Let's see how many emails exactly. Constituent emails lawmakers have received. 22,137 constituent emails have been sent to lawmakers through NORML's platform alone opposing SB 56. 22,000 emails is a lot for any piece of legislation. But clearly in Ohio, lawmakers think they know better than you. Hey, Richard, good afternoon to you. Welcome back, OG Grandma. Billy Blaze is in Ohio. And I think what you're saying is a good idea there, Billy. Let me know your thoughts on what's going on with SB 56. Knuckles, you're in Pennsylvania, so you're asking about the federal hemp ban, right? Okay, I don't want to pull cords out of my wall during the show. Hey, John in California. Hey, Mike. Hey, other Mike. Mike in Anaheim. Let's see what Instagram has to say. Devashia says, sounds like some mob mentality. They want to get their cut off everyone who consumes. Yep, Uh, oh, Clyto Mill is where you are, Julia. Got it. Thank you. um, thank you, Billy. Billy's in Ohio. Billy says it's horrible that they are not listening and respecting the will of the voters. We would agree with that, Billy. Absolutely. There we go. Hello to the gardens at Clyto Mill. I'm glad I got it squared away there. Oof. So that's what we're looking at in Ohio for this week. If you're in Ohio, you can still send that action alert because clearly 22,000 constituent emails weren't enough to convince Ohio lawmakers not to gut the voter-approved legalization law. I'm going to drop a link to the comments, in the comments right now, to the action alert. If you can't see the link, you can find it at norml.org/act. Just go to Ohio. You'll see it there. Hey, Tina. Welcome. Welcome. Hey, Charlie. Good to see you. Hey, Farmer Joe. And somebody earlier asked a question. Knuckles, right. So I think that two of you now have brought up the proposed federal language in the ag funding bill that first does not take effect for a year, second attempts to close the so-called Farm Bill loophole on unregulated THC products. Farmer Joe asks, so does the new legislation ban seeds and clones? I should not have closed that link that Tom sent me. I just closed it like last night. I had it open for almost a week. I believe that, hey Tom, are you watching? Do you want to send me that link again? I wish I knew. Oh man, I wish I knew how to look for it on my computer, not in real life. I mean, ugh. We'll do. I'm fairly certain that it does include. I'm fairly certain that there's an attempt to include seeds in the definition, and I'm staring at my laptop in my lap right now, so I can see if I can find this. I think this because we had a question about it last week, and this was that it? Nope, that's not it. Darn. Yeah, I haven't. I think that it does, but I don't think it's because of the potential to produce. I think it's. Come back and ask me next week, or email me. But I knew when I closed that tab, it was the wrong thing to do. It's like, oh, I'll just find it. No, I will not. What are we doing here? Ugh. Okay. I'm gonna move on from that. Sorry, Farmer Joe. Whoever you are, stop asking people to text you. Goodbye. Hey, Quinn, good to see you. Anything new in Louisiana? I don't think so, Quinn. Do you think there's anything new in Louisiana? You tell me. What in the, huh? Okay. More from Billy. Billy says, from an Ohioan, I greatly appreciate your efforts to educate people on the horrible actions our legislators are taking to blatantly disregard the will of the voters. That's what we are here to do. It's in my history. What's in my history, Quinn? I don't, I don't, what history? Hey, Woodyard, good to see you. Nothing good, nothing good. I assume nothing good's ever happening in Louisiana, Quinn. Asa Diamond TV EXP. Got it. Had to, had to break it down. I was about to make up a new name for you, but otherwise, hi. Hey, DP in Kentucky. Farmer Joe, you're getting some shout outs on Instagram. ADHD grower, your question on Instagram is, can I still grow legally in Virginia? Can you still grow 4 plants for personal use lawfully in Virginia? Yes. Can you still register with VDAX to grow industrial hemp in Virginia? Yes. I hope that was both of your questions. Oh, the link I was looking for a few moments ago. Thank you, Quinn. It's not in my history. That's what I was doing. That's what I was looking for. And I don't have, I think Tom sent it to me in chat here last time. Um, and that's why I don't have it. I closed the, is this it? Uh, that's not it. Quinn, you go find it and send it to me again. The link is not, that's, everyone's like, the link's in your browser history. It's not though. If it were, this would be great. And it's not. I went through all of it. Also, who wants to watch me scroll through the internets? I mean, that could be a great show, I'm sure, but that's another show. Probably not this one. I'm looking again for funsies just for y'all. No, I got nothing. Really. Okay. Moving on. Not only is Ohio doing some weird stuff, um, but here's another terrible. I'm sure I'm going to have more than terrible news, but we're going to do all the terrible stuff first. Here's some terrible stuff. Let me drop this link for you. Okay, so a U.S. attorney says that the feds will, quote, rigorously prosecute low-level marijuana violations, and also says that this is reversing administrative guidance from the Biden administration. So, according to a November 13th memo issued by U.S. Attorney Darren Smith, the Justice Department has, quote, rescinded previous guidance that directed U.S. attorneys not to prosecute those offenses, meaning simple marijuana possession. In response to that, Smith says, quote, "This administration thinks that marijuana use is a public safety hazard, and this office is going to uphold the law and ensure safety and security of the public within our jurisdiction." Okay, buddy. Okay. It's unclear to us whether, and I think to everybody, it's unclear whether the prior administration, the Biden administration, actually ever issued a formal directive to U.S. prosecutors de-emphasizing the prosecution of simple marijuana possession. Both Smith's office and the DOJ have declined to provide evidence of such documentation. But it looks like former U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland did publicly state that prosecuting state-sanctioned cannabis activities does not seem to me a useful use of the Justice Department's limited resources. And let's also remember that the Biden administration issued pardon proclamations to those with federal convictions for low-level marijuana offenses. So to say that this reported change in policy is inappropriate and misguided is perhaps an understatement. It is misguided. It is inappropriate. It is a terrible attack on consumers, on Americans. And I think it's also worth noting that this policy, this so-called policy, it runs counter to what President Trump said on the campaign trail. He said, quote, "We do not need to ruin lives and waste taxpayer dollars arresting adults with personal amounts of it on them," end quote. Apparently, this U.S. attorney doesn't believe what the president said, disagrees with it, and thinks that he should waste taxpayer dollars arresting people who have weed. Let me know what you think about that, friends. Daryl says, thank you, Daryl. Daryl says there are no such documents. They've declined to provide any documents. OG Grandma, when do we get some good news? We only have one more not good news story, and then we'll do good news. Also, where is Braddy? I assume Braddy is working, but we did message yesterday, so I know he exists. Hey, Joanna in Boston. Your comment. Good to see you. Joanna, okay, thank you. Joanna brings up this one. Since we're talking about cannabis consumers being under attack, whether from the U.S. Attorney in Wyoming or from Ohio lawmakers or in Massachusetts and Maine. It's not just Massachusetts, Joanna. It's where you are. It's also happening in Maine. Joanna asks, what do you think about the person trying to end legal cannabis in Massachusetts? So there is a signature collection underway for a proposed ballot initiative in Massachusetts, and also the same in Maine. And I believe that in Massachusetts, they actually just turned in their signatures. But these two proposed ballot measures in Maine and Massachusetts are seeking to repeal the voter-approved legalization laws in those states. And there have been numerous reports that in specifically Massachusetts, I would assume it's probably similar in Maine, that there was some sketchiness as to how they were collecting signatures, and that they weren't disclosing to potential signers of this. You have to sign to get this on the ballot in the first place, and they were perhaps not being truthful with voters as to what they were actually signing a petition for. What do we think about it? That's a wild take. Voters quite recently approved legalization in those states. I don't know why someone thinks that voters suddenly are like, oh, let's repeal what we just passed. Whether it's misguided or not, it's worth repeating in case you've missed it. Cannabis consumers are under attack throughout the country. Full stop. It's also worth repeating that, hey, did you know there's only one organization in the US that works solely to protect the rights of cannabis consumers? That's right, it's NORML. Our work since 1970 has been solely focused on consumer interests. That's the only thing we do. We work to reform marijuana laws in the best interest of consumers. That's it. There are lots of industry organizations out there, and great for them, but they're not working for you. We are. Hey, BZ. Jeff who? Jeff told you the callers are off and to be careful what we do. Where are you and which Jeff? I'm gonna guess you mean Jeff in Lehigh Valley. Hey, Sean, good to see you. Oh, okay. Thank you, Joanna. Joanna says they have been lying to people for those signatures, at least in my area. Joanna's talking about Massachusetts. Quinn, excellent point you bring up, my friend. Quinn says, so why is the minority calling the shots on what the majority wants? This is happening in state after state after state, particularly not only as it relates to cannabis policy, but as it relates to a number of policies around the country. But we're here to talk about weed, and public opinion does not support these rollbacks. We did talk a little bit about some recent, the most recent Gallup poll, where legalization was really high amongst Democrats and independents, and it actually dropped down a few percentage points amongst Republicans. Now, why is that? Did a bunch of people leave the party and now it's just a bunch of old people there? Maybe. There has to be something to it, because it doesn't seem like it's just a sudden shift in public opinion. Hey, Jason. Good to see you. Is SK Saskatchewan? Oh, okay, BZ in Ohio. Got it. Oh, let's see who's over on Instagram. I did it, Ace of Diamond TV. I did it right. DP Donahue. says, I came to ask what you think is going to end up with this federal law and the new bill. Presumably this is about the THC, the hemp THC ban. I think there are two things to note about this. One is that and I said this in last week's show, we talked a lot about this in last week's show. You can find it on Spotify or YouTube or our Substack. But first of all, this comes off as a huge cash grab because it doesn't take effect now. It takes effect in a year. So that means that's a year for the two competing interests, the alcohol industry and then these hemp operators. Those are the two voices in this room trying to crowd each other out. So they're going to fork money hand over fist to federal lawmakers during the next year. Alcohol, of course, wants to take ownership of these unregulated THC beverages, and hemp wants to not be told they have to be in highly regulated markets and that they can keep doing what they're doing. I don't think either of them are likely to prevail. I think what's reasonable to expect is legislation similar to the States Act. The States Act is not a clean federal descheduling bill. It's a bill that essentially gives protections to states that have enacted their own cannabis regulation policies. It provides protections for legalized states, essentially. And so I think that we're likely to see a bill that provides something similar for states that are regulating these hemp intoxicating products. So who's going to win at the end of the day? We'll see. We'll see. Hey, Jason, thanks. Jason says, let me get your comment up. Jason says, been following NORML since the late 90s. I remember thinking as a kid, how cool. We had huge bumper stickers to show off. LOL. Glad to see the fire is still burning strong. It is. It is. It is. Jason, we still have some vintage stuff right here. We still have, no, it's not close enough. We still have our original classic retro NORML logo t-shirts in the NORML web store. It's store.norml.org if you're interested in seeing that. Oh, good. I'm glad I guessed Saskatchewan right. Hey, Patrick. Patrick asks, is there a way we can see which Republicans have big pharma lobbying them? In some instances, yes. I know how to look that up at the state level here. I don't know how to look that up in your state, but we could probably figure it out. I think Open Secrets is pretty good for some of that information as well. Shuri Seymour, do I think there is a link between Delta 8 drinks and the alcohol industry? I know that there's a divide in the alcohol industry right now, and that some operators really want to be able to have these THC beverages on their shelves because they're money makers. And then there are some alcohol operators who don't want to lose shelf space to THC beverages. So there's not even cohesion amongst the alcohol industry itself, but we have a story coming up, and I'll do it after this next one, just so that we can. I'll just do it now, and then we'll have to. Sorry, Grandma, we'll have to slide back into some negative Nancy type story after this. But um, this isn't the first time. This isn't the first time in recent weeks we reported on a story, a research. I'm sharing a clinical trial link right here. Okay, so there's a clinical trial that we covered this week in our news of the week, and cannabis smoking, and this is specific to smoking, is linked to significantly reduced alcohol consumption. So this is a clinical trial that happened. This isn't someone's opinion or feelings. This is a clinical trial. And subjects in this clinical trial voluntarily reduced their alcohol intake following their use of cannabis. This is published in the American Journal of Psychiatry. These researchers were affiliated with Brown University School of Public Health, and they were assessing whether or not cannabis use influenced people's desire for alcohol. And they did. They study participants significantly reduced their alcohol intake following the inhalation of low and of moderately potent cannabis, but they did not reduce their alcohol intake after having the placebo. Yeah. Participants who consumed higher THC flower also reported less of a desire for alcohol and waited longer before consuming their first drink as compared to those who consumed either the low potency cannabis or, of course, the placebo. So I share this, first of all, because this is an interesting study, but also to let people know that this is real, and it's not. We've had a lot of coverage about alcohol and cannabis in recent months. We had, I feel like there's more. I think we had some stories last week about it too. We didn't do a lot of our science stories last week because of all the federal stuff, but the alcohol industry is noticing, needless to say, and they want a piece of that pie, and they're coming for it. Oh yeah, here's another one. THC beverage consumers acknowledge reducing their alcohol intake. This story is from just a couple of weeks ago, but I'm going to drop that in there too. Since we're talking about this, maybe you want to look at it. There it is. Yes, exactly, Cherie, exactly. Cherie says, meaning alcohol is trying to save profits as younger generations prefer cannabis over alcohol, or prefer cannabis drinks over alcohol. Yes, they're mad, and they either don't want it anywhere near their alcohol, or they're mad and they want to take it over and own it so that only they can sell it. Whew. Yeah, yes. Shangri-La says the whole government gets money from big pharma, alcohol, and tobacco, and many others, I'm sure. Absolutely, of course they do. Hey, Melissa, good to see you. DP asks a question, as a Commonwealth in Kentucky, do you think we'll be able to make our own cannabis law? Yes, you already have in Kentucky made your own cannabis laws, just like most states and territories in the US have done so. Kentucky has legalized medical cannabis, and regardless of what happens with this hemp language in the ag funding bill, you're still going to have a medical cannabis program. I see another comment from Ant on Instagram that says Pennsylvania doesn't listen. They also target MD drivers. Do you mean Maryland? I assume you mean Maryland. Hey, Elevated Garden. Sorry it took a second for me to see your comment. You have some questions about I think this is a question about Virginia. Yes. Thoughts on the micro business? Do you mean in the adult use retail bill in Virginia? I'm going to keep my eye out for your response. Hello, other Christopher. Welcome to the show. All right, so now that we've had a delightful conversation about the alcohol industry, let's get back into the last. Hey, Pot Brothers at Law. I just saw you join. Let's talk about this last not delightful story. Police in these 8 states made over 100,000 marijuana arrests in 2024. That's right. Just 8 states. Now, of these 8 states where there's 100,000 arrests, Texas made a quarter of them. Texas made over a quarter of them. Texas made 26,602 marijuana arrests in 2024. The next highest number is Tennessee with 11,574. Coming in right on Tennessee's heels is Pennsylvania, 11,154. Wisconsin, guess you have less people in Wisconsin. So there you get 10,978 marijuana arrests in 2024. North Carolina, 10,843. South Carolina, 9,638. Louisiana, you hear that, Quinn? Louisiana, 9,573. And Georgia, rounding out the 8 with 9,525. Of course, these are just the numbers that were reported by each state to the FBI. I suspect Florida belongs in there somewhere, but if you don't report your numbers, we can't report on you. And they're notorious for not reporting. Keep in mind that in these states, the overwhelming majority of arrests are for simple possession. Texas did not make 26,000 arrests for people selling weed. These are minor possession charges. So yeah, did we share that? We did share that. Okay, that's in the chat right now. Hey, Nicole. Nicole brings this up. Nicole says, legalization is really the only way to undo the damage caused by the war on drugs, in my opinion. We agree. It's a really critical step. And yes, we do know that opioid use, opioid abuse, opioid-related hospitalizations, and opioid overdose deaths decrease when there is access to cannabis in a state. When there are medical cannabis laws, these just laws, they decrease as well. Hey, Ben Franklin, what's up? Quinn says Louisiana, always the underachiever. I mean, at least on this chart, you're not the worst. Yes, Charmaine, exactly. Charmaine says these arrests are concerning, and we need as many justice-informed people on the ground as possible. Absolutely, Charmaine. Absolutely. Hey, John. Happy early Thanksgiving to you as well, friend. You can, oh, don't retire yet, Nicole. Cole says, I can retire and my comment made the screen. You never know what's going to spark my interest, right? Right. Okay. Let's see. No, no one answered that question over there. Oh, I got to scroll. Hello, Jolly Pond Farm. Let me read your question about Virginia. Jolly Pond asks this. How do you feel about all the licenses still in queue from December 2024? And many license holders are opening up multiple dispensaries. Are you talking about Virginia? Oh, you're West New York. Never mind. I see the end of your thing. Got it. What can we do to get more micro licenses opened up in New York? That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that one. Hey, Ghetto Grow. Ghetto Grow on Instagram. I see you're not happy with 4 plants in Virginia. Well, my friend, let me tell you that it was originally 2. It was going to be 2. But fortunately, during that process, the legalization process, very fortunately, we had an administration that wasn't crazy. And we used a spreadsheet. This is not uncommon to use a spreadsheet to sort of track the changes in the bill. And this was the administration. This included myself. This included Department of Legislative Services, and it included the lawmakers and their staff who were carrying that legislation, the chief patrons of the bill. And one of the comments I made in the spreadsheet, because they had outlined 2 mature plants and 2 immature plants, I changed the number to 4 and said, who's going in to measure plants? Because they had, the administration, we didn't draft this language, had said, okay, well, immature plants are this, under this many inches. It was totally arbitrary and made up, as if law enforcement was going to be carrying around a ruler going, okay, your plant is this many inches. I don't know, maybe they're doing weird stuff like that in other states, but they're not doing that in Virginia, because I changed the number from 2 to 4. So you have 4. You could have had 2. Anyhow, it's just 4. It doesn't matter what, doesn't matter how big or small, 4. You know, the biggest plants you want, you can grow them outside, you can grow them inside. It's 4. Are we going to be able to change it from 4 to something else? Maybe at some point, but Virginia just elected a governor who's actually supportive of regulating cannabis, as opposed to the one we've had for the past 4 years, who's done everything to do as much damage to legalization in Virginia as possible. Okay. Hey, MSS Oregon. Yes, you can go live on these platforms. We're actually live on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and I said Instagram already. And then after the show broadcasts, it uploads to Spotify, so you can subscribe to our podcast on Spotify. It's the full video. It also will post to our Substack, and it also stays on YouTube. It stays on Facebook for a little bit. Facebook just changed their platform to where it converts it to a reel, and it doesn't stay for very long. I think it stays for 30 days, but it stays on those other platforms. Hey, Joe Mama. We talked about SB 56 at the top of the show. It was the first story we talked about. You're the northern partner. Thank you, Jolly Pond. Ooh, okay. This is some. Ooh. All right, we're not doing that in this show. You can do that stuff somewhere else. Sorry, we got to have a little bit of housekeeping real quick, friends. You can, oof, no, we're not saying that here. Okay. No, we're not doing that. I don't want to see your posts about vaccines or autism. I will kick you out. Full stop. Uh, Shangri-La, I don't think that the government thinks that hemp is as bad as fentanyl. But remember, they do think at least a number of them do think that marijuana should remain in Schedule 1. So worse. Radica, hi, I love you. We're giving it a minute, Nicole, and then we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's. Just try to keep up with these comments, y'all. Okay, hey Jesse, thanks for joining. Jesse asks, when do you think Virginia will actually see adult use dispensaries? The earliest, so first what has to happen is a bill has to be introduced in the General Assembly in 2026. It will be. It has to be passed and signed by the governor. Bills take effect on July 1 in Virginia unless there's an emergency clause. There will not be an emergency. An emergency enactment takes a supermajority, and we're not going to have that in the Senate. So it will. July 1st is the earliest the bill could take effect. So the earliest any sales could begin in Virginia for adult use cannabis would be July 1st. Okay, this is something. I'm not going to get distracted. I don't know what that means. Candid. All right. Let's talk about some. Let's talk about some good things. We talked about that one. We did that one. I think you all are going to think this story is interesting. It's a short one, but it's about terpenes, and this is a study that was done. Let me close these. Oh, here we go. Um, this is a study that was done in Israel, and it is one of the first. Where is that? Where's that language? This study is one of the first to characterize terpene interactions with CB2 receptors. And it also includes this study did include CB1 and CB2. But what they concluded is that terpenes in cannabis activate cannabinoid and our cannabinoid receptors in our body. So endogenous is inside your body, endogenous cannabinoid receptors. So it's pretty interesting. The researchers assessed 16 cannabis terpenes. Yeah, give me a second, and if you want me to read them all to you, I will. I don't need that. Where are we? Alpha pinene, beta pinene, limonene, myrcene, ocimene, sabidine, terpinolene, borneol, eucalyptol, geraniol, linalool, terpineol, beta caryophyllene, humulene, bisabolol, and Neuroladol. You're welcome. You can read them all yourself in this study, in our report on this study at NORML.org. Okay, World Flat Web said that. This is a joke. I live in Virginia. We have been waiting too long. Yes, we have been waiting way too long in Virginia because elections have consequences. And Virginians elected a governor who hates weed. So, good job, Virginia. You get what you asked for. You meant to impersonate Brady when you put that question. Fried mouse. Thank you. Ask me again before, in case he doesn't show up. Hey, Sean. All right. Hi, John. Okay. I don't know that Abby loves cannabis, but she loves smart cannabis policy. That I can assure you of. She loves a transparent market and she loves public safety, and we can deliver all of those things. So I'm very glad that Virginians elected a governor for the next governor, not the current one who's terrible, but the next one will not be terrible on cannabis policy. She believes in science and trusts policy experts. Hey, Carl. Yes, Carl says, I know I'm late. That's okay, friend. Curious to know if you talked about the new stuff they pushed through with the government reopening and how it impacts seeds and the sale of them. I also noticed they didn't include tissue cultures or clones. Just curious to see what you had to say about it. I did talk about this a little bit earlier in the show, and we talked about it last week's show was entirely dedicated to federal policy. So you can always listen to that watch it on Spotify or on YouTube, or it's on our Substack as well. I I believe that seeds are included in the definition. As I lamented earlier, I closed the tab that had the language. And oh wait, is this it? No. I thought that I was going to get it in the recently closed tabs. It's not. I wish I could find this and look at it so I could read you the exact language, but I closed it, which was dumb. I'm staring at my laptop to see if I can find it, because this is the show that you come to watch me look at my laptop on. You're welcome. Gosh, I wish I could find this. What's this? I don't even know what that is. Okay. Anyhow, we have a year. There is a year for this. A lot of things are going to happen in that year. So. Elevated. I do read Instagram, but are you asking, do I read? I don't know what are you mad about Abigail Spanberger? I'm confused. Do I read Instagram? I'm literally on Instagram right now. What? I'm real certain where she stands on cannabis policy. There's zero confusion here. Real sure. So I don't need Instagram to tell me what people think she thinks. I know what she thinks. Comments are going in late. Yeah. Also, I have to look at a totally different screen for Instagram during the live. I get all of my comments for Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitter. are all in one nice integrated stream in this platform, but not Instagram. Got to look at two whole separate tabs for that. Got Virginia in one and NORML in the other. If we're talking about Abigail, don't worry what Instagram has to say. I am not unclear. I'm very, very personally clear on this, personally and professionally clear. We're good. I can't read your name, but I'll show your comment off. I mean, I guess I could say it, but I'm gonna be nice. What did I miss? Did we talk about rescheduling? We didn't talk about rescheduling at all, but rescheduling, there's no update on rescheduling. I know you're surprised. It has, in fact, been a couple of weeks, a couple of times over, but no, there's been no update. Can I open Instagram comments? I can see them, but I can't share them here. It doesn't integrate into StreamYard. Quinn, I want the full text of the ag funding bill. Hi, Samuel. I'm glad you got to join us right before I end the show. Oh my God. What in the world? Okay. Robert, I don't know what you're talking about, medical cannabis. I'm not certain why you think medical cannabis has 0.03. I don't know what you mean. 0.03% THC, not medical cannabis, no. Oh, good grief. I can't with this stuff. Okay, you're in timeout. I can't handle that. What's going on with Carter? Please do rewatch. You can rewatch on Spotify or on YouTube and on our Substack. Hey, Mike, I like your question. Mike asks, how do we vote? Who do we vote for to help legalize weed in Tennessee? Mike, when you have elections in, well, anywhere, you can go to vote.norml.org. This is NORML's voter guide. And we grade candidates based on their stated cannabis policy positions or their history as a lawmaker. So if they voted on cannabis bills before, then we'll have that there. And if they've made any public statements or if they've answered our survey, then we're able to provide a grade for them. So that's how we help you vote for people who support cannabis policy changes that we collectively support. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. I remember. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Frogs. I don't even know if it's trolling or it's just people are like out there. Don't. Okay. I can't. Whatever. Yeah, we talked about this. Why can't I show? I just want to show your comment. Off. Says holding out hope. DOT changes testing from past use to impairment only. Technology exists for it. Sort of waiting for the government to catch up. I mean, yes, technology does exist for it. It's software based. Absolutely, that's available. Druid is a great example of software-based impairment testing that is available and in use around the country. Also, in employment type situations, there is Alert Meter by Predictive Safety. And specific to DOT, they had approved They have approved the use of oral swabs, saliva testing, which is better at showing recent consumption, not impairment again, but recent consumption. And Paul and I talked about this a few weeks ago, and we haven't. What the next step in that is that they have to approve the actual test itself, and they haven't done that. I think they don't have a provider of said tests. Zach says, are there any potential presidential candidates for the next election? I'm sure there's plenty of them, but none that have said, hey, I'm running, aside from, well, everyone talking about THC limits. First of all, it's 0.3%. It's 0.3%, and that has about hemp. The only thing you need to know about 0.3% is that the federal government says that is how you define a hemp plant, is a plant that has 0.3% by dry weight. Doesn't have anything to do with anything else. Chris, all I'm getting now is the question about Virginia. How long? The earliest sales could begin in Virginia for adult use would be July 1st. I love a comment. I love a comment that's trying to tell someone they're not smart that has a lot of typos in it. That's entertaining. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, Shuri, that wasn't really for you. A few quick stories, and then I gotta go. Here's some more research for you. This is not the first time we've seen this, but here is a new study. Cannabis use is linked to a lower risk of oral cancers. Just drop that in the chat for you. And two more for you that we've seen. We see these over and over again, but it always bears repeating. Hey, guess what? You tell them, Grandma. Guess what? Low levels of THC in blood are not associated with significant changes in simulated driving performance. This is another study that was done, and in this one, cannabis consumers abstained for 48 hours prior to participating in the simulated driving course, and they didn't have any significant changes in their driving performance. And then the last one, again. This is a survey that was done for this study, and what most patients report quality of life improvements following their use of medical cannabis. I'm sure this comes as a surprise to no one. That's because it was just a timeout, frogs. That's why. Ooh, but you are right. That is something. We're not doing that. Okay. Science is in the details. Yes, John. Yes, it is. All right, friends. This has been fun. Just make sure I didn't miss anyone's comments. All right. I have some events coming up to share with you all. What is this stuff? Oh, that's a whole section I didn't even do. That's last week. Don't worry about it. Events coming up. Now, we won't have a show next week because it'll be the day after Thanksgiving. And then we won't have a show the following week because I will be at the 2025 NORML Key West Legal Seminar, and you should be too. There's still time for you to register. You can get tickets at norml.org/Key West. Come hang out with me, Paul, Keith, at the Hyatt Centric, December 4 through 6. If you are an attorney and you need CLEs, good news. Our program is fully accredited in all states that require continuing legal education credits for practicing attorneys. If you are not an attorney or you just don't need CLEs, good news, we got you with a discounted rate. Register now at norml.org/Key West. 2 more events. Oh, I'll do a quick shout out for Missouri NORML. Missouri NORML is hosting their fall Missouri NORML. Go. Is hosting their fall conference. See if, ooh, this is real slow. Events. Show me your events. It streams live on Facebook on Sunday. No, Saturday. Whatever. Oh, that's a different thing. That's Sunday. Saturday, November 22nd, from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. 1 to 6 Central. Streaming on Facebook is the Missouri NORML Fall 2025 Conference. I just put a link in the chat for you for that. And then, what is then Morgan Fox, NORML's political director, is going to be on our Suncoast NORML chapter in Florida has a podcast called The Rotation, and Morgan will be on The Rotation this Sunday, November 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can stream that on YouTube. I just put a link in the chat for you for that. But Suncoast NORML, you can find them on a bunch of streaming platforms. Coming up in January is the 2026 Virginia Cannabis Conference. It's January 23rd, 24th, and 25th in Richmond, Virginia. You can find out more and register at virginiacannabisconference.com. And stick around for Lobby Day on Monday, January 26th in Richmond at the state capitol for Virginia NORML's Lobby Day. You're not seeing the links in the chat. I'm sorry about that, Melissa. Maybe it's going to take a second for it to get there. I just put them there. So I don't know what to tell you. I see your comment at 5:17, and I put the comments in at 5:17, so it's probably just taking a second. Yeah. Jason, you are so welcome. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Cherie, yes, we do have a chapter in Canada, NORML Canada. They're fantastic. Love those folks. Thank you, OG Grandma and Fried Mouse, for doing Brady's bidding while he is not here. OG Grandma says, what's your favorite kind of cannabis, JM? Asking for a friend. My absolute favorite type of cannabis is legal cannabis, as you know. Thank you for that very entertaining little bit. Love to do it. Friends, it will be a few weeks before we have another show because of the holiday and travel. But let's say December 12th looks like the next time we'll get together to do live with NORML. So go ahead and hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live. I'm JM Pedini, the development director here at NORML. Thanks so much for joining us. And as always, I'll see you back here next time. Bye-bye.